Right, we are starting. Hello, everybody. I am super excited today because I have a wonderful couple that would love to share their experience with you. And I've known Bronson for several years, and I'm very happy to see that uh, he applied and learned a lot of things, and is doing amazing. Is actually right now in Russia. So
Yep.
let me ask you, Mr. Bronson, what are you doing in Russia?
Well, I'm here in Russia living with my wife, Katya, and studying Russian at the university here, Russian language, and basically just living here.
Wow, that is so uh, not ordinary for most people.
Yes, it
So
is.
we can start in the story from the end.
Okay.
And so Bronson and his lovely wife Katya is in
Oh,
Russia, and I will let them tell the story, how they met, what challenges they had to understand each other, and how they made it all work. So I'm gonna first start, Bronson. I'm gonna ask you, how did you meet Katya?
Okay.
And what challenges did you have when you were trying to, you know, get that relationship going?
Okay. So yeah, we actually met on a language exchange website. So when we first met, we weren't. It's not like we were on a dating website or anything. We were language partners. So I was learning the Russian language, and I mean, she already spoke English, but
I needed more practice. I was looking for practice, native English speaker.
yeah. So we both found each other on a website, and just, at first we were just communicating, not very often,
Yeah,
just,
almost didn't.
yeah, not very often. And just strictly just for having somebody to practice the language with.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually probably a year after, how
Yeah,
long was
something
it?
like that.
Yeah, almost a year after we first started communicating, there was like a period of time where we didn't communicate.
Hmm.
And she emailed me needing some help with a important exam, I think it was.
Yeah, it was like some study issue. I was studying in university at that time, and I just wanted my task to be perfect, to be checked by a native speaker. That's why I was like, who can I text? Oh, there was Bronson, I remember. So I texted him.
Yeah. So, and then we just started communicating a lot more regularly, like almost every day, and then every
Mm-hmm.
day. And then kind of an attraction grew there.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was long distance. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. She was here in Russia. And, I just there was an attraction starting to grow. And I wanted to, better understand, if the feelings were mutual and, how to show my interest. And that's when I started looking at Veronica's videos on YouTube. So, yeah.
All right. Could you tell us, when you start to looking for the videos, did you just, because, you obviously, you know, have, some knowledge and common sense, and that's not like, but why did you start looking for extra knowledge? And is it because you felt like there is a difference in the culture?
Yeah, maybe a little bit difference in the culture. Russian women are not as like open and as expressive and as Western women,
Mm-hmm.
outwardly like that, and a little bit more reserved, I guess, and closed off. So I was just kind of, trying to get a better understanding of the mentality. And that's what I was looking up your video.
Yes, it is, when you live here for a while, you just, you get used to this. But I remember just coming to US and everybody's so crazy. Like, hey, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, slow down. But I think there was a video about the small talk, and I don't know if a long time ago where I was talking about how people are cold at first, but once they get to know you.
Yes.
That's true.
It's very true. Yeah. And it goes for not just like Katya, but her entire family is like very warm and opening and welcoming to me. And that's, I think, is a lot to do. They're more with the Russian culture, they're more like closed off at first, but once they let you in, then I mean, it's like they really just, they would give you the clothes off their back, they would feed you, and it's really great.
Yes, it is, and I'm glad that you're having this experience. There is a lot of controversy that Americans not welcome, that people hate Americans.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Ukraine. The relationship with Ukraine always been a little bit better, but I remember when you were going to Russia and we were talking and you were saying, no, you don't understand, this is not Ukraine, this is Russia, they might do whatever to me. Remember when you were getting ready, and which I understand because that's what we see on TV.
Yeah.
So what could you say about a little bit about that experience when you were thinking about moving there for a while? Like, did you were you afraid that you're gonna be treated differently, and maybe
yeah, there was a little bit of concern about that, because in the Western media, I think there's this stereotype about Russians, like just being like these cold people, and like I don't know, there's just negative stereotypes, and not a lot of positive information. So I really didn't know what to think. I wasn't expecting any specific, like, to be treated badly, but I just didn't know what to expect. But yeah, I mean, people are reserved and they are closed off, and they don't really, they're not like in the States where everybody's smiling at each other and like saying hello, and like it's not common for people to do that at all. But nobody's like been rude or mistreated me or treated me any different than they treat other people. I think pretty much everybody gets not the greatest service in Russia, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody gets pretty poor service. Yeah,
everybody
equally.
No matter if you're Russian or American.
That's right. Actually, in fact, you can get sometimes better service because you're different, and people because you're kind of exotic, different people want to ask you questions, just sometimes you get better treatment, actually.
Yeah, a little bit.
People excited to see somebody different, especially you're not in Moscow. What city you are in?
We're outside of Moscow, a city called Nizhny Novgorod.
Nizhny Novgorod or Nizhny, I don't know how to say it with American accents.
Nizhny Novgorod.
It's just the same.
Nizhny. Yeah. So yes. So basically, guys, the message is that you don't know unless you try, and a lot of people who have bad experiences, it's all over internet, that would always post that, and good experiences are not as often they're not as advertised because there is less drama.
Of course, yeah. If people have negative experiences, bad news travels faster than good news. So, but I haven't had any bad experiences at all.
Wow, nice. That's really good to know. I've been to Russia some times ago, but it was so long ago. But to me, it's the same. We have such a break between countries right now. We have such a turmoil going on. But to me, it's no different. To me, it's like my own country. It's the same. They're trying to convince everybody that, oh no, we are so there is nothing like we have nothing alike, but it's not true. We have everything alike because
Yeah, that's very
and
true.
like thousands of years of history plus that.
Yeah.
So I of course cannot not to ask you a little bit about you know, how your story developed, and also I remember you, I think Katya was visiting US, correct?
Yes. Yes.
I was
That
there for
was
3 months.
Yeah. So we were talking over Skype for a few months, and then she
I got
came.
my
Yeah.
third summer in States. I was like a work and travel participant. And yeah, that was my third time, my third visa. And that was actually 2016 when we actually met in person.
Yeah. So I was in Los Angeles, and she was in
Rehoboth Beach,
Rehoboth Beach,
Delaware.
Delaware. Yeah. And so, following Veronica's advice, taking action, yes, very important. I got on a plane and went to see Katya in person.
nice. So you knew that, you know, you gotta show the intention. You couldn't miss her. She like
Yeah.
she's
I
in the
wouldn't
States.
take him serious if he didn't take some actions. It would mean another blah 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 on the internet. But he actually became from just guy on the screen in Skype into the real person who was treating me so well. I was just charmed by like how he was treating me as a woman, and just I was just his princess, and I never got such an I forgot the word. Such a attitude from the man.
Mhm.
It was like, wow, somebody can treat me like that. And I fell in love with his attitude to me, and then also I fell in love with him.
Yes, that is so true. I just was making video yesterday about the letter writing, and I was talking about how the, you know, women first fall in love with your actions.
Yeah.
Is it true, Katya?
That is very true. Yeah.
Yeah. As I was, you know, the topic was, I was saying how, you know, Slavic women heard everything under the sun. We heard all the compliments, we heard all the you know, fluffy stuff, but not so often it was followed up with a good serious action. So, but I think that Bronson is like naturally that way. It just in United States sometimes you need certain, almost like you need to know who you're dating, because a lot of women, it's really weird, but some women, they actually see when guy is chivalrous, you know, when he is really treating you like a princess, when he is overcoming obstacles, when he's make you feel special, that you are, they consider that man that he is desperate or weak, that he's like, you know, desperate, like he's trying to, it's so sad. And I'm really glad that Bronson stayed with his, you know, masculine intuition and really pursued you in such a beautiful way that you will always remember. And, you know, then generations after, you know, there is a power to a story, to like something that you can retell. And, you know, each time you retell that story, you're like, you're back in that. Isn't it? So how long this long distance was going for you guys?
I guess it started after I came back to Russia.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we met in person, I mean, there was an attraction there, but we weren't like officially, like, we weren't really dating. And then when we met, like, I was courting her, I was sending her flowers, sending her
Every
like,
week. Every week I got fresh flowers.
yeah.
And chocolate and strawberry and cookies and just like such a sweet stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
gonna be crying right now.
yeah. So, like, I was definitely showing her my intention, like, I was interested. And then, so when I flew out there, you know, that's when we kind of, you know, really decided that we were gonna be together.
Mhm.
And so we spent some time together during that summer. We saw each other a few times. And then she ended her uh,
Program.
program and flew back to Russia. And I went back to Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And
That's when
yeah,
hard
that's
times
what,
start.
yeah. And then I had to think like, okay, what's my plan? Like, how can we be together?
Mhm.
So I was just doing research into different types of visas, and I discovered that they have this student visa program. And so first, I came over on just a tourist visa for 30 days. The first time I came to Russia, and then
It was like 4 months after we separated.
yeah,
And I went to Russia, and he stayed in States. It was like 4 months of being apart. The
yeah.
hardest month, I guess.
Yes, it is. And I think isn't it then when you start you were like we start I think this is where you reached out to me just kind of to share your story. I think so, and or
What's
maybe it
that?
was earlier.
Earlier, I guess, no?
When I reached out to you?
No, no, I think that was a time when you were really like looking for advice, how to keep the long distance and stuff.
Yeah. When I first was when like after we first met in person. Well, actually when we were
Mhm.
yeah, after we met in person, that's when I was like really like seeking out your advice. And then yeah, when we were separated, I was, reaching out to you and asking you for more advice on like
Mhm.
oh, different
This
things.
is where the famous fight with yourself came.
Yeah. That was when we were well actually no, there was a few of them.
Yeah.
One
Could
when
you
we were
share?
when she was in the States and when we were separated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Could you share, because we just talked about it before we start the video, could
Yeah.
you share a little bit just to support guys who are in long distance and they have big imagination?
Yeah. That's the toughest thing when you're in a long distance relationship. Your imagination can go wild. So yeah, one time this is when she was in the States still. We were supposed to have a call
Mm-hmm.
and at a certain time. And I think like we texted and we're like, okay, I'm gonna call you like in 5 minutes or something.
Like 2 minutes,
2 minutes,
yeah.
yeah. And when I called, like she didn't answer, and like time just was good. It may have been 10 minutes, but it felt like over an hour, and I was just texting Veronica like, I can't believe she did this.
You texted her?
Yeah.
Really? I
I
didn't
was
know
like,
that.
I didn't think she was like this. And then Veronica calmed me down and said, I'm sure that something, there's a logical explanation.
So thank you so much.
Don't get upset. And, you know, she just reassured me and told me that,
Mm-hmm.
you've got a good woman there. And I'm sure there's a logical explanation. So yeah, 10 minutes later, Katya called me from the Starbucks where because her internet had went out, and that's why we weren't able to have our call.
And I was panicking all this time because I knew Bronson and I knew that he's freaked out at the other coast of United States. And I was just thinking, what can I do? The internet would just break. And I was like, oh, let me run. There is Starbucks 5 minutes running from here. And I grabbed like my phone and headphones and just went to Starbucks just to calm him down and say, everything is fine. I still love you.
Oh my gosh, I feel that so many people go through this, and I think
Yeah,
when it's new and
yeah,
you're just so vulnerable, you
yes,
afraid. I didn't even know Katya, but I already knew that it's not what he's thinking, that she's
yeah,
probably maybe her phone is something with her phone or internet. Like I've already knew that, because I know when certain types of women, when they commit to you, they're not there, it's just like one of those accidents when happen when you're long distance.
yeah,
Like this morning we tried to set up the call. One time I had some urgent thing in the morning, and then I open my email and my link doesn't open. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like if something can go wrong, it goes wrong, and
Yes.
it's a very bad time. So basically, you have to have faith. You know, when you trust in, you have no other choice.
That's true.
And I was just laughing because I think it was another time when you. I just made that video. It was, oh my gosh, it's a long time ago. I made this about the fighting with yourself. It's basically when somebody does not respond to you and you keep texting them and then you keep fighting with them, even though they probably don't even have their phone with them. And so you go from hi, hello to how can I ever trust in you? And you
yes, exactly.
I wish I would never. You never.
Yes, exactly. I've had a few of those conversations. But.
And sometimes, guys, don't judge yourself harshly, because sometimes you know that it's probably not what you think, but you have this automated brain. You just can't stop yourself because you just, you understand. Like, I remember you told me, like, I hear your voice saying that, you're probably not getting it right.
Yeah.
But, sometimes we do have this automatic behavior. It takes time to change it. You don't change it like in a second. So don't judge yourself. But if you fight with somebody, like, you basically have fight with yourself. So don't put the bad words.
Yeah.
Like, don't put, you can put some concern, but don't put bad words in it, because you'll regret.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You definitely will. You will feel bad about it. So you have a very unusual situation, because usually I would say 9 out of 10 couples, they come here. So the husband makes the K1 and the wife come here. What made you decide to do it the other way around? So you live in Russia.
Yeah. Well, she was still finishing university when we were dating. So she had, I think,
2 more years.
2 more years. Yeah. So it just made more sense for me to come here and let her finish her university studies. And yeah, so, and I have a pretty flexible business where I work online. So it's really easy for me to just work anywhere that I have my laptop and the internet.
And they do have internet in Russia, right?
Yes, very good internet and very cheap.
Cheap.
Super cheap.
Yes, very cheap, ridiculously cheap.
So it's for those of you guys that your lady says, oh, I don't have internet. No, actually they do have great internet. So
it's very good quality, high speed internet. And very affordable.
Yes, I know. You probably pay like $10 a month or something.
Something like that. Yeah, it's like 500 rubles. It's 500 rubles, which is less than $10. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
probably
like
$8.
$8 a month for the highest.
For the highest speed plan that they have. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. That's another reason why, like, cost of living here is just very, very, very low.
Yes,
compared
especially
to the Western world.
Yeah, yes, it is. I sometimes come in summer to Ukraine. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like a millionaire.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's that could be another thing to consider for people that maybe somewhat on a budget, that if you have a business that can be run on the internet, you could consider doing it from another country.
Yeah, of course.
Because I think California is probably the most expensive state
it's super expensive.
Yeah. Because I live in Michigan. It's not that expensive, but California is crazy.
Yeah.
So, and it's maybe I would just want to say, I have now more younger people that watching me, because when I started, I mean, I think I had different groups, but for those people who are younger and still they want to do it right the first time, because I have guys in their 40s and 50s and 60s that just want to have the chance in life and find real love, and they doing it second or third even time. But for those of you guys who are watching, who are just starting and thinking about creating a family, you have more options than one. You could consider live in Russia or Ukraine. I don't know about Belarus right now, but maybe there too is fine. You can make a lot. You can provide very beautiful life for your wife over there, saving on American prices and taxes.
Yes. Yes.
By the way, so a tax question, do you have to pay tax if you live in Russia?
So
Sorry
if
for asking.
Yeah, so technically, if you're like, if I don't have Russian clients, so I'm not earning rubles. I have my clients are
Okay.
in the United States, in Canada, in UK, and so yeah, technically, I'm not a tax resident anywhere. So
Okay, so yeah, but that's okay though, because I know there are some different rules, but we're not going to it. I was just curious how it works, but since your
yeah,
business is still, you still working with mostly Western countries.
yeah.
So are you considering at some point, bringing Katya here and live here for a while?
So the plan is to move to Canada, Montreal, Canada. Yeah. And while we're waiting for that, because I'm Canadian actually, and so while we're waiting for the sponsorship paperwork, it takes a year to get that paperwork, to get her to become a permanent resident card or something. And during this year, we're just going to travel. So we're going to travel across Europe, South America,
Nice.
and yeah, just kind of burn the year doing that. But the plan is to settle in Canada and just, come to Russia a few months out of the year.
Visit family,
Yeah.
friends.
That is really fabulous. I'm so excited for you guys. It's like, so you're gonna be basically just on the road, just exploring the world.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is just so fantastic, and it's not non-achievable, right? It's all possible to do when you have goals in mind.
Of course, yeah.
Wow, it's just, so what's your first country you're going to?
This month, end of this month, we're going to Greece. And then from there, we're gonna kind of play it by ear.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, we're not planning too far in advance. We're just gonna,
just some general
just
plans.
a few countries. Yeah, we want to see France. We want to see Spain.
Really, Spain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Katya,
So,
did you have do you still need a visa for those
I
things?
got Maltese and Gen, so I'm free to go.
Excellent. So guys, if you if you, for example, have to negotiate for some reason, you maybe you've been to Russia before, but you want to meet and travel. It's a great way to get to know a person when you travel. You can choose some countries. If you just need to get one Schengen, like multi-Schengen visa, or how you call it. Yes, and
it's
for European countries.
For Russians, you need a Schengen visa. For Canadian or American, you don't need a visa to enter European
just go
countries.
all Europe.
Yeah, it's super nice. And for Ukrainians now, if your lady have a new passport, she doesn't even need a visa.
Yeah.
We have this thing. Yeah, we just have. I made this passport last year just for fun. So it's like biometric. It's just a new biometric passport, it's called. So yes, you can up to 30 days. I believe it's 30 days in every country you can travel. But you do have to apply.
You're so lucky.
For Europe?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, they just made that change, and it's real handy because you can be you can have improvisation. You can just decide you want to meet, because before it was a process. So anyway, this is so awesome. Okay, last question for today. I don't want to hold you guys. I really, really appreciate your time, and it's just, I'm super inspired. I want to ask you guys a question about your decision to learn Russian, and how in the world you are going to school. Like, it's just so unusual.
Yeah. So my decision to learn Russian, well, um, there's actually a lot of languages that I want to learn and that I've
Mm-hmm.
studied. So, and Russian just seemed very interesting to me. And I just remember when I was looking at it, I was like, what are these strange characters? And I just wanted to kind of like understand what this Cyrillic alphabet, just wanted to understand what these strange characters meant. And then just kind of like once I started learning a little bit more, I just really wanted to know more and more and more. And it kind of just pulled me in. And the whole culture, Russian culture, is just very interesting and fascinating, and the people. And yeah, and then obviously meeting Katya, and the student visa is a great way to stay in the country for a long period of time while she was finishing her university studies. So the way that works is you have to get an invitation from a university, and
Mm-hmm.
it's for 3 months, and then after that 3 months you renew it for 1 year, and then they can
Mm-hmm.
renew it for every year uh, after that, a year at a time. So it's a good way for people that want to stay in the country a long period of time and learn the language. So I'm on a student visa learning Russian, and
Mm-hmm. Wow.
very convenient.
In order to get the student visa, you probably have to actually be a student.
Yeah, I'm a student at the Linguistic University.
But it's just some courses,
It's just
not some
courses. Yeah,
bachelor
I'm not. Yeah,
degree.
I'm not enrolled in a like bachelor's program or anything like that. It's literally just international students, Russian as a foreign language or something like
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Russian culture,
that. Yeah,
something like
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally only go to classes for Russian. That's it. So grammar, speaking,
listening.
listening, writing, and yeah, I go at the university for. So it's actually the university where Russian students study foreign languages,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have another
Department.
department for foreign students that want to learn Russian.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow. That's what I figured out, but it's I think it honestly, I think it's a wonderful thing, because not only Katya will speak English to you, but she wants to, she's like sick of it, and she was, because sometimes we have to break down and speak Russian, or Ukrainian, because I
Yeah.
just can't, it's like you speak in
Well,
code all day.
yeah. It comes in handy when speaking with her family.
He can speak freely to my family. My parents don't speak any English, and now he can talk to my parents in Russian, and grandma, my grandparents, my friends, my cousins. So he's at this comfortable like level. I mean, of course, there's
grammar mistakes.
I mean, no, you like nobody can be perfect, but
Yes.
he's at this level when he knows enough to communicate on different topics, to discuss everyday routine, and just to discuss plans, what happened. So he's comfortable.
I'm just listening because we usually speak English way, we communicate. So, but I had the feeling that you made the great progress now. That is wonderful. Isn't that amazing? So you can actually talk to your wife's family, and this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Guys, that's encouragement for you.
Yeah, I think it's very useful to learn a language.
Yes.
It shows that he's like truly interested in me and in my culture, in my family, and he's not just taking me as a separate woman outside of society and her culture, but he actually plunged into my culture, and that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this. That's so powerful what Katya just said, because a lot of times that's exactly what happens when you get married to a foreigner. You basically extracted from your culture, and that part of you does not have any outlet. Yes, you make some friends in US, but for you as a couple, I think it's a wonderful thing to do, because it's like yet another level where you can connect. Yeah, it's just, my gosh, it's just wonderful. you know, sometimes people don't just think about, because they think, oh, you know, I'm gonna get her the hell out of that Russia thing, or that Ukraine, I'm gonna get her. But people don't understand that, you know, there is more to economy and political crisis. There is also human factor. What do you think about social life in Russia, Bronson?
You know, it's very interesting. Russians are very family oriented. Like everybody's birthday, everybody shows up. It's like,
These
yeah,
gifts.
People.
it's I never like coming from, you know, growing up in the States, like it's not like that. Like people in the States, people they celebrate their birthdays with their friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in Russia, it's like they're celebrating their birthdays with their family, and like every kind of day off, it's a time to get together with the family, and it's very family oriented culture.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very true. The ties are stronger in the family. It's true.
Hmm.
And then another thing, when you have a birthday, people, what do? They show up with gifts.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it's not trying, you know, not trying to, you know, turn everything to a material, but I think there is something about, you know, when here in US, if you're a child, you know, yeah, you get all this bunch of
Yes.
toys that you don't need. But when
Mhm.
you are like, when you're a grown person, I think it's more just people in your life, they really celebrate you. And it doesn't, not talking about some, you know, super expensive things, but it's they're
Thoughtful.
celebrating you today.
Yeah.
It's so
Yes.
wonderful when it happens.
Yeah.
And I think that in American culture, people could maybe reconsider, you know, just sending a text.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anybody who send you a text, well, I understand there
Yeah.
are, you know, colleagues and people, but if you're a family or close friend, I don't know, just it's you know, there is something about that connection. It's this is how it grows in a beautiful way when you actually, so basically people are investing in each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
time, and they invest in their time. It's very important.
Yeah, so boy, I have, you know, I have like a million more questions, but I don't know if
We have some time if you
Yeah, we
want.
have some time.
yeah,
Yeah.
we still do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. So I want to ask Katya,
Uh-huh.
did you, you know, when this fairy tale story started, did you have some fears, you know, that how this gonna work, and, you know, is this guy serious, or it's another, you know, sort of you know, another situation where, you know, you just not sure, because in Ukraine and Russia, some men are very chivalrous, you know, I mean, they can be in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you, like, what was your experience from your side?
I can't say I had fears about dating a foreigner. It's about having not a fear, but just I was afraid that no matter what nationality he is, it was about if he will be a good person. Will he treat me good? Will he respect me? And or I don't know, maybe he is not serious, and even though he crossed the whole country just to see me, I I'm ashamed to say, but it wasn't like super enough, and I just wanted to be more sure that he's not just playing with me, because like relationship for me is very serious, and I'm not wasting my time and energy and my inner source into relationship where I'm not desired. And I wanted to know 100% that I am desired, that I'm the one who he has been looking for, and that he's not gonna hurt me. Because like after my previous relationship, I was alone like for 4 years, and I wasn't letting anybody like close enough to me, because I was afraid to be hurt again. And when actually I told him about this, my little fear, he was like, "Oh my God, are you crazy? Of course I'm serious." And then he just proved with his attitude, with his actions also, that he's like a knight fighting for me, and it was precious.
I'm just really enjoying this open, genuine conversation. This is
Yeah, me too.
so true. So you were not about to give a chance to somebody who's just want to waste your time.
Yeah.
That's something to remember for everybody who's watching the channel. It doesn't matter if you're dating a younger woman, a middle-aged woman, or at any range. She doesn't usually, the person going that route that they are open to meet somebody. They don't just we don't date for 10 years being a girlfriend in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Or Russia.
Definitely.
It's like, and we don't, I mean, especially, and also we have a little bit of a fashion now of living together, but plastic thing, we don't just, you don't get the privilege of being a husband, but being a boyfriend, or even inconsistent one. So I really like that message of self-worth coming from Katya about that. I knew what I wanted, and I was basically single for a while just because I just didn't want anything happen that already happened. I wanted something better, and I wanted to be, like you said, I want to be desirable, and I want to make sure that he's a good person, and no time to play. Like here in US, people don't even think about it to like the age of 30. Like, oh, okay, maybe maybe it's time to. Yeah, it's so people more mature. I feel like people are a lot more mature in post-USSR countries. They are becoming mature earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because,
I agree. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, in the U.S., like, I think a lot of women that are, in their 20s, they're just playing around. Yeah. And I think that like Russian women or Ukrainian, they're ready to settle down and meet somebody that they can spend their life with.
Yes, it's true. I think it's just a different. They feel like they have a different purpose. I mean, we also have this time to play around. Don't get me wrong. We also do the parties and all of that. But I think that they feel that they almost take family as a career.
Mm.
That family is as important as a career. So you kind of open, when you see a valuable man, you give him a chance.
Yeah, it's a priority.
That's such a cool phrase. Family is a career. That's so cool.
Yes, because you actually plan. You basically plan on. You kind of have a vision of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you just it's not always work out this way. Everybody has their unique paths, and sometimes things don't work as you want them to. But they're definitely kind of more serious, like more focused on things. So what's okay? Last question for today, for this video. What is your favorite thing in Russia that you like and you wish that people would have it in Canada or US?
Oh, favorite thing?
Yeah, it can be anything. Like
they have good candy here. Good
candy.
They have really good candy. You know what? One thing is that the food is fresh. People aren't there isn't this fast food culture where everything is like, I mean, you have McDonald's, you have KFC, and you have these places, but they're not like, people aren't going there every day. And these frozen dinners like at grocery stores, like they have a few of them, but it's not like how it is. So like,
not even appetizing enough to buy
it. Yeah, exactly. So like everything's fresh. You have fresh food, fresh meals. We can walk across the street to the market. I was thinking Rynek.
Okay,
Rynek. We could walk across the street to the market and get fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, like and just it's a little bit like you don't have a lot of the same conveniences, but I think it's better in a way because you get a lot of like fresh
Mm-hmm.
fresh food and things like that.
Yes, that was, that is so true. I totally agree with that because, same in Ukraine. I just feel like when I come there, and there is, I mean, of course they have some delicacies, but there is a lot of like just simple food that is really like tomatoes, for example. Like my son loves potato salad. Huh?
It tastes so much better.
I know,
it's fresh.
like American tomatoes is like, you don't know if you eat grass, you you drink water, like what is this? Yeah, and it's kind of weird because I think when you grew up on it, you just, you just don't.
That's all you know.
Yes. So food. But honestly, I actually think, what we put in our bodies shouldn't be the last priorities because Katya maybe knows that too because she's been to US traveling.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of problems here connected with food.
Mm-hmm.
Some people actually don't walk anymore. They have little things that like, when I first saw the first time, I saw people in a wheelchair and I like asked my husband, like, what's wrong? And then I realized it's like nothing wrong, but it was a bit too many, of, it's a fast food thing, and it's really sad because, if you have children also, if you plan to have children at some point, I feel that there are some things that actually better in Russia than in US.
Yeah.
Because kids here, they don't eat that much of real food.
Yeah.
And I know it's a whole different conversation, but you do discover these things because we always think one way that everything should be better in US. Everything should be better in Canada, but there are some things that are really good in Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you so much for your time and your willingness to share.
Anytime.
If you guys have questions, you feel free to ask, and if you would like to request another topic, or maybe we can make some other video about the careers and things that young people can take or to pursue in order to be able to travel like that, because Bronson is a digital marketer, correct?
Yes.
And that allows him to travel and do things around the world.
Yeah. I mean, but there's so many opportunities. Everything is shifting online, so you can own your own business. You can work for a company that hires remote employees. There's a bunch of different things you can do. You can teach the language. So yeah, there's a bunch of opportunities. But I'd be happy to talk about that further.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, we'll talk about this because it's a long conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bronson,
of course.
Bronson, Katya, thank you so very much for joining.
All right. No
sharing.
problem.
So we'll see you guys soon. If you have questions, post them below.
Bye.